Hey guys, I'm Justin with CBI and Prinsu. Today we're going to show you how to install a Prinsu cab rack on this Toyota Tundra. Stay tuned for the install. All right, so step one is we're just going to get everything unpacked, kind of lay it all out the way it's going to install. We got our hardware prepped over here. We just put a washer on with a little bit of Loctite on the end of these bolts. Same with the wind deflector hardware. We want to make sure we use that Loctite because we're not using those lock washers anymore. So all that's prepped. The gray crossbar is going to go to the back of the wind deflector. That's why that one's different, but all the other ones are the same. So once it's all laid out, we'll kind of start assembling some of the crossbars that don't cover up our mounting feet. Now we just want a few in there, and then we'll go to the truck and get our measurements. So don't go crazy installing these, just get a few hand tight for right now. So we'll go ahead and get that started. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our measurements for our first hole on each side of the truck. So we can kind of pop this out of the way, this weather stripping. And what we're gonna do is measure from the edge of this windshield back 9 1/4 inches. We're gonna make a mark and do the same thing on the other side. Now when we drill, we're gonna start out with some smaller bits and gradually work up to our final 3/8 inch bit size. But for right now, we'll make our marks on both sides and then we'll get to drilling. All right, so we got our front 2 holes marked. Now we're gonna start drilling. Like I said, we're gonna start out with smaller bits and gradually work up to our final 3/8 inch bit. When drilling this roof, you wanna be careful that you're not diving down too deep so you could hit potential components that are up under the headliner. So you only wanna drill as much as you need to get through the roof. They do make drill bit stops. That's a great option that you can get. That way it won't go all the way through too deep. We're just gonna be really careful on this one, but we'll go ahead and start drilling now that we got it marked. All right, so now that we drilled the 2 holes in the front, we're gonna install our plus nut in the front 2 holes that we drilled. And how we're gonna do that is we're gonna take this bolt that came in your kit, put a washer on it. We're gonna slide on the hex coupler and another washer, and then the plus nut threads on. So the trick with these is you wanna get this plus nut snug up against this other washer. If it's not snug, when you put it in the hole and you start turning, you won't be able to compress that plus nut. It'll just turn inside the hole. So with this being tightened to that washer, that'll hold that in place and allow you to compress it. And what we're gonna do is hold the hex coupler with a 1/2 inch wrench, and we're gonna turn the head of this bolt with a 7/16 inch wrench or socket. But before we do that, we're gonna take a little bit of our black RTV silicone. We're gonna put it around the lip of this so that when we put this in the hole, it seals that surface. We'll be doing more RTV as the process goes, and we'll show you that closer. But this RTV silicone, it's UV resistant, so it's not gonna get any cracking. It's gonna absorb all the expansion and contraction from hot and cold temperatures. So that is gonna be the best way to seal this roof up. I know there's other methods, but we use this. We've never had a problem with any water getting into the vehicle. I get that's a lot of talking, so we'll get these going. All right, so we got the rack sitting up here. Definitely use a friend to help you. It's large, kind of awkward. It's not heavy at all, but it's just awkward to handle. So we got it sitting here, and what we've done is started the front 2 bolts in the plus nuts that we previously installed just to hold it in place. We're gonna make sure that it's square on the vehicle, and then we're gonna go mark the rest of our holes, get everything marked good, and then we'll remove this and start drilling. All right, so we got all our plus nuts installed, compressed, everything's great there. Next step is we're gonna mark our weather stripping and cut it to size to fit our mounting feet in there. So we're just gonna hook the front and kind of slide it out of the way, take a Sharpie, basically just mark where the holes start and where they end. We'll do this all the way down for all the locations. All right, so now that the roof rack is gonna go on and stay on, we're gonna do a little bit more assembly down here. You can also do it on the vehicle, but since we have some extra help lifting it up there, I'm gonna do as much as we can here on the ground. So we'll get our window deflector assembled, and on the rack, we'll get a couple more crossbars in, but again, we don't wanna cover up these mounting feet with crossbars. We can do that once it's on the vehicle. So with that, we'll take our hardware, get this going. All right, so we got our roof rack up here. I've kind of staged our spacers and bolts at the locations where we're gonna need them. We're just gonna mention again our black RTF silicone. So we've sealed the lower portion of the nutsert that meets up with the roof, so we have a great seal on that surface. Now what we're gonna do is fill around that hole and inside the hole, smush that spacer down on top of our black RTF, and that'll really push that silicone around that spacer and as well as in the hole, so that when we run our bolt in, it seals all the threads all the way in. This is definitely the way to go. Black RTF, we have 3 layers of sealant on these holes, so we're gonna be great. We're gonna once we get our silicone going, we're gonna start the bolts at all the locations. We're not gonna tighten anything down yet because we'll need to check alignment, verify all that, then we'll come back and tighten down. And when we tighten down, we're using a 7/16 ratchet, and you just want to be very careful not to over tighten this. So don't use an impact, no power tools, just go easy on that ratchet, get everything tightened down evenly, we'll be good to go. All right, so we got everything tightened down, came out great. We're just gonna install our last remaining crossbars up here, and then this will be a done deal. All right guys, that sums up today's roof rack install tutorial on the Toyota Tundra. Hope you like it, hope it was helpful. Leave a comment below if you got any questions. As always, like and subscribe. Thanks guys.